Welcome everybody to the Push the Needle podcast. Today I have my guest here, Jesikka Calder. Jessica, I appreciate you coming on to the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Awesome. So what Jessica does, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but she's a double major at UNT for what was your majors again?
I'm a double major in entrepreneurship and finance.
Entrepreneurship and finance, two pretty goated majors, I'd have to say. I know you're big in the fitness industry. You're striving, making your path into that. Even got a nice little sponsorship brand going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
ABE, my favorite flavors that we actually have right now. For energy drinks, like a go-to, especially for the 16-hour credit days. So
that definitely gives an approval rating for me. Batty Berry. Awesome. So what I like doing here, and the reason why I brought you on is because, I believe fitness is huge. I believe fitness can really help drive a very driven mindset. And really, what I use it for is I pump, I go and I lift, and it's the self talk that really does it. I said in the last video, I think that's the first place. So, what kind of got you into fitness? How did you start there?
Yeah, so I played varsity lacrosse in high school for 2 years, and my captain of my lacrosse team, she became my best friend on the team. She's a competitive wellness bodybuilder who also does social media. So I was kind of looking at her, and I was like, "Whoa, like your meal prep looks so good. Like you're looking great. You're looking huge. Like you have the social media following. Like, can you teach me?" And she's like, "Yeah, like I can teach you. I mean, it helps me in lacrosse. It helps us with endurance, and then obviously muscle because you're going up against these other girls that tend to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Like I'm 5'5". I'm not like a huge
I
person.
feel like people don't really understand how physical lacrosse can be.
Yeah, and girls are always like, "Oh, like guys is so much harder than girls. Like it's so much more physical." And it's like, now guys is more like openly physical.
Yeah.
Girls, it's like you shove the stick,
It's like
you twist
catty.
it. Yeah, it's catty, but it still has a physical element to it.
Of course.
So she got me into the fitness world of that, and then I kind of grew my own love for it. So in high school, it was really difficult for me. Now, by all no means, like a pity party. I made it myself, and it made me who I was. I graduated in 3 years, and my sophomore and junior year, all I did was like school and gym. That was it. And what really kept me in the gym was that sense of community. So like I went to an amazing gym in North Richland Hills called Absolute Recomp. This gym filled with influencers, powerlifters, bodybuilders, lifestyle lifters. So it really showed the different dimensions of fitness, and how it's not just like, okay, you're only a bodybuilder, or oh, you're only like a Pilates girl. Like, no, you can be a bodybuilder and a Pilates girl.
Yeah.
Like it showed a nice little mix to it, and it's really just the community and the confidence that I got in myself that really kept me in fitness.
Okay, so how would you say now, especially, I mean, you're a double major, you're going into the, would you say more influencer role through social media? I mean, I know you have your page going, you're accepting UGC offers and opportunities and everything like that. Is that kind of the direction you're wanting to take all of this in?
Yeah, in my opinion, like at this point, there's a difference between content creator and influencer, right?
Okay.
So influencer, you're looking at people that can sell you something online. So you're looking at it and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'd buy this vacuum from this like momfluencer.
Okay.
And I mean, in the end, yeah, that's the goal, is to be an influencer, but to a certain point, you're a content creator. So you're creating content, like I'm creating content for ABE, like, because that's who I'm sponsored by. And I'm blessed to be sponsored by them. I love it. And I do send them, my originals, and they have usability rights for that. So I'm making content for their page. So kind of right now it's content creator. I would love to develop it into influencer, but I'm not kind of putting all my eggs in one basket,
Okay. Yeah, no, I saw in the forum that you had said, ultimately the goal is to be able to, have a business and a company that you're building, that to where you can take that time away, 3 weeks to 3 months even,
Yeah.
and just it be fine. Is that something that's always kind of been the goal for you? And yeah, with entrepreneurship and finances, that's definitely the foundation. So is that just what's kind of always been on your mind?
Yeah, I know that I personally really value family. So, like my mom always had a lot of flexibility to, even as a single mom, like take time off and really spend time with us, be present in me and my brother's life. So I was like, okay, I want to be able to be there in my kid's life. Like, what is something where, because to a point with entrepreneurship, you're just making a job for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, if the functions, day-to-day functions can't happen without you, then you've just made a job. You haven't made a business that, is the goal is for it to go on without you, for you to be able to leave for that amount of time, like take care of your family, to go on a trip, like pursue another learning opportunity. Um, so I think that, I mean, I know that that's not my goal right out of college. I'm not like, okay, I'm going to go straight out and I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah.
My goal, I want to go into finance. I want to use that degree. I want to really learn, because money makes the world go round.
Mm-hmm.
Money makes everything go round, you know? And it's not money itself, it's what money buys you that you really value.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's like, oh, money can't buy you happiness. I'm like, well, that's bullshit.
Like, I'd rather be crying in my bottoms, to be honest.
Yeah. There's a scene in, I think, Wolf of Wall Street, where he's just like, I've been going through it with money, and I've gone through it without money, and I take with money every time. And that's because it buys you. I mean, they took it off of Netflix. I have to figure out where to watch it at. It's just one of those comfort movies. You can just throw it on any time. But it's right, like, it's not what money can buy, it's what it can do for you. For me, the whole reason I started the podcast is because I was just like, okay, I really want to make music. I want to be able to drive a message that can help people in order for them to really go after what they want to go through. But I had no time for music, to learn everything from the ground up. And so I was just like, okay, well, what can I spend life, like if I had to do something every day for the rest of my life and be able to, be fine doing it, what would it be? Talking to people, getting to understand them. Like, that's what I love doing. I like the deeper conversations. And so that's what made me start the podcast. And, it is just a job for myself right now. I'm doing all the editing, I'm doing all the recording and all the.
It makes sense but we'll look at it from this lens. You can film 2 episodes back to back. So you got me today, and you can have someone else tomorrow. Then boom, you have 2 weeks of videos, so you get that week off.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a job to a point, but it's like also that flow of like resources and at this point content to how you do it. So
okay, so I had noticed, and I really just I'm digging on the fitness right now. I had heard this kind of sound off when you were telling us about lacrosse, but you had said like, something about where you were back then. Pity, how has fitness kind of helped you with your self-confidence going into like a lot of these bigger roles that you're placing yourself in?
I think that it really shows you how self-reliant you can be. When you work out, you need to eat well. You need to fuel your body well. So then that translates into like, okay, you have these goals. You need to fuel your mind well. So it kind of is a hand-in-hand type thing where you have to take care of your body. You have to take care of your mind. Here's how you do it. But then also, if you were just like confident in your body, like you feel good, you feel clean all the time, like you feel sufficient with that, you're not going to be worried about your body, your appearance. Because like, don't get me wrong, I love to look great. Like I like to wear my crop tops and my leggings and like know that I feel good whenever I wear that. So just having that kind of stability in my physical appearance allows me to like, okay, like I'm not worried about that. Like, let's go focus on learning a new skill, on meeting new people, on networking, on getting onto a different consulting call,
Yeah.
So
life is just like that much easier a little bit whenever you are taking proper care of yourself and your body. And your body's a temple, and the science goes into it where it's like, okay, well, one, fitness is something that's recommended to everyone who has any type of anxiety or depression because it's pumping feel good hormones into you, like your serotonin levels. Like I said, I hear that self-talk whenever it's just like, I need one more rep, and I'm telling myself I can't do it, and then it's just like, no, you're gonna have to do it. You gotta get it up, And then I leave that day thinking like, holy shit, like I crushed it. And another thing with like the eating well is your gut is your second mind. There's that correlation of the mind and the gut health, and so if you're putting trash into your body, then that's just gonna come back to you in a negative force.
Exactly. Make you feel bad because then now you're just focusing on your body feeling bad. You can't focus on like your class or like the homework the paper you have to.
Yeah.
Back with the counting the reps, I started doing this new thing where because I have an insane amount of elevated calf raises, right? Like these kill me. They are so hard. And counting backwards. Actually, if I needed to count it all, I would count backwards.
Okay.
Because as those numbers like get smaller, you feel like your mind feels like you have to hit it more. So if I'm counting 3, 2, 1, like that feels a lot more satisfying than counting 47, 48, 49, 50. Like,
okay,
it's just a different mindset. And then on legs, I stopped counting overall.
Oh, really?
Like, I just completely stopped counting. I saw something from a creator on TikTok, and she was like, you see growth when you stop counting your reps. And I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. I had my friend count how many seated hamstring curls I did without counting my reps, just saying, like, go, give another one, good form, tighten your core. I got like 17 reps on this weight that I normally get 12 on.
Okay.
Because I was genuinely distracting myself, loud music, just telling myself to go, really focusing on not counting the reps. That you're like, dang, like I can up the weight. Like, this is so much more. So it's kind of that, like,
it's like you're not putting that limiting belief.
Yeah,
like,
just being a little delusional. Just, naive.
Yeah, that's what I was actually, the guy I was talking to on the phone before we got on, we were talking about 75 hard. And like how when people go into it, it's like, it's this monumental thing. 75 days of being able to do X, Y, Z. But it's not really changing that mental, push, that mental barrier in their mind where it's like, okay, after this 75 days, then what's next?
Because if you don't maintain it, then like, what'd you do it for?
Exactly.
Like, if it didn't change you at all.
If you were just doing it for the achievement and not for the lifestyle, then you're not doing it right.
I think it's a great first step in for people that need that type of accountability. But even then, like, you look at someone like Alex Earl, she's doing, I think, 30 hard. She decided not to do the full 75. And even then, like, I think that's a great step. But then it's also maintaining that through and kind of, adjusting and manipulating it to fit your lifestyle. Not as much your wants, but maybe your social needs. So if it's like, no alcohol, well, for Alex, like, she's going out with her friends all the time. So she's going to be like, okay, like, one drink whenever I go out. So I think it's a good first step for getting into it initially, but then realizing like, okay, this made me feel so much better. And then maintaining it and adjusting little bits of it to where you're not uncomfortable because you're not living life to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, uncomfortability is like, I don't know if that's a word.
Uncomfortability? It is on this podcast.
That's great. I think, there are obviously times where you're meant to be uncomfortable because that's where you grow. If you're comfortable, you're not growing.
Exactly.
But all of life is not meant to be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Like, you live and you work to make money. Like, I know I value experience. So we're back to like finances and how money doesn't buy you happiness. Okay, but money buys you like what you value as a person. So if you ask someone,
oh, this is really good.
How do you like it? I love it. It's one of my favorite flavors. You ask someone like, if money wasn't an issue, you could go on vacation, where would you go? Someone saying, oh, I would take my entire family on a 2-week trip to Disney World and we would pay for that tour guide that's like $10,000 a day. Yeah. Like, okay, and that shows that they really value family. And, asking someone else like, okay, if I gave you this much, like, if money wasn't a problem, you could go on any trip in the world, where would you go? This other person says, I would go backpacking through Bali, or not Bali, through Southeast Asia for 2 weeks.
Bali's always mine, like, the one that comes right to my mind, too.
I was thinking Borneo, because that's where my mom did. She's so cool. Really? She's literally established, like, every single value in my life. Made me so adventurous. Bomb woman.
Yeah.
Aussie accent. Now she's really scary when she gets really mad. Okay. But she's overall pretty cool.
Yeah, the Aussie accent, I can only imagine. Have to get her on the podcast one day.
Oh my gosh, she'd love it. She'd yap, and I'm like, okay, Mom. She's a psychologist, so good luck with that one. Huge. Good luck with that one. But sorry, I lost my train of thought.
My bad. That was my bad. We were talking about, what money can do for you. You say you like using money for experiences. Your example was the family that's going to Disney World and paying for the tour guide. So
it speaks to just what money buys you, and that's what like feeling good with yourself buys you as well. Because if you're thinking of life as like, okay, I need money, I need more money, and you're never being uncomfortable. That's what it was. And you're never like spending that money that you're earning, and what do you have it there for? Yeah. Because if you're earning all this money to live a life and you're like, okay, if I have this much, then like I would be able to buy this Birkin bag, or I would be able to go on this trip, but then you're not actually doing it. Okay, then you're just like breaking yourself, and you're living in an uncomfortable life for what? Yeah. Like, for no return on it, no like return on investment of like your time.
So how would where's that line? Where it's, because in my last job that was huge, just being able to kind of sit in that uncomfortable zone for work. If you're too comfortable, your motivation isn't there, because uncomfortability brings out, that stress on, okay, how am I going to make this next dollar, or how am I going to make this quota? Like, then you start growing, coming up with ideas, and then once that trying time is over, you've grown. You got new experience out of it that you can apply in a different perspective. So how do you go about having that fine line? Because I you're a double major. You're doing a bunch of things on social media and online, as well as just overall keeping your grades and being able to also balance that experience of having fun and being able to live your life.
Experience, as well as, I mean, I'll tie in a sorority to this. Like, I'm involved on campus. I have a leadership position in my sorority where I coordinate external events with other organizations as well. And we're in a really, I'm in a really busy time for that because, it's spring semester. Everyone wants to have these mixers. Everyone has philanthropy events. Like, we have our philanthropy event coming up, our philanthropy week. So that's a lot of planning with the rest of, like, my officers and stuff. So I think you're right, like, balancing obviously school and a position and fitness and now a boyfriend, like, it's a lot, and maintaining those friendships, like, that is a lot to do. I mean, I think a perfect example of this is how I set up my schedule for this year.
Okay.
So I recognized that last year, I do not condone what I'm about to say, by the way, at all. I would skip my Tuesday classes because
I condone it 100%.
I do not condone it. The only reason I skipped
only Tuesdays, though.
Only reason I skipped it was because I figured, like, I could teach myself better than that professor could teach me. Kind of addicted to the professor, but kind of not. I put it in his evaluations. He can know it was me. Like, I was never there. And instead, on those Tuesdays and then on Thursday, I would have an evening class from like 6 to 9 p.m. Those 2 days, you'd find me in Starbucks for 3 to 7 hours just studying and working. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of that balance of, like, class, no class, class, no class, class. And then you have the weekend. Mm-hmm. And then this year, when I was making my schedule, I was like, okay, like, standing on business this year. Like, 2024 is the year for standing on business.
Yeah.
So I just made it where I had no classes Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh, yeah. And just took it completely out?
Yep, and it was great. I have one online class. I'm taking a total of 16 credit hours. One online class, the rest are in person. And so far, like, it's worked out great because it's that balance of, okay, like, Tuesday, I can sleep until 10 p.m. because, like, I don't have to go to my 9 a.m. Yeah. Same thing with Thursday. And then Saturday and Sunday, like, okay, I've got that for me, like, Sunday reset, like, clean everything, do my laundry, like, meal prep if you have to, but I mean, I'm still living in the dorms, so I'm still on that meal plan.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, if you can go into it and be like, okay, have a meal plan for the days where you don't feel like doing any type of cooking or anything, and then, as long as you're having fun cooking still, like, I think that's, like, the perfect 1-2 punch.
I think that's the mix of also uncomfortability with it because, don't get me wrong, I do not enjoy cooking. That is why I moved my meal prep to ground beef instead of just chicken. Because I hated cleaning the air fryer with chicken. I just didn't enjoy it. So I went to ground beef because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. And my mom absolutely hates all my meals because I'll do, like, ground beef, rice, and then that sweet and sour sauce.
Okay.
And she hates it. She's like, Jessica, this is absolutely vile. How do you do this? And I was like, Mom, like, it's just there. Like, it's just so much easier to do.
It's for the gains.
It's for the gains. I'm hitting that protein goal every day, and that's what matters. So it's that uncomfortability with cooking, but also realizing, okay, but I get to control it then. Like, I don't add seed oils. I don't cook in butter. I don't cook in oil. Like, there's fat. Even on 97% lean ground beef, there's still fat on it. Mm-hmm. Cook it in that. I don't add extra salt to it. I get my sodium from sauce. Mm-hmm. And I found that kept me, like, drier. Just looking leaner because my body wasn't holding as much water from having that increase of sodium. So it's kind of the control aspect. Like, yes, you're uncomfortable, but hey, like, look what you get to control. Like, look, you don't have seed oils, you don't have any extra fats, like, you don't have extra sodium. So,
and I think that's, like, so discipline used to be, like, a huge thing for me where I always felt like I was lacking it. And, as I've been able to put myself in more disciplined states, I think that's what turns people away from having that kind of lifestyle of discipline is the fact that the trade-off doesn't seem as appealing on a surface level. Like, like your meal prep over a cheeseburger. I'm gonna pick the cheeseburger all day.
Honestly, I'm picking the meal prep.
But that's just because
the
cheeseburger is more appealing. Mm-hmm. Like, if you were to tell me, hey, were you using I'm eating the same calories and getting the same protein of this cheeseburger out of the meal prep, I pick the meal prep. But like you said, it's those other things that you're controlling, like, the oils it's being cooked in, the preparation on how much things like sodium have that little effect on getting you closer towards your goals
Yeah.
that are very much hidden, or you have to have a very much disciplined state of mind to really understand the value that that's bringing towards you, to where, like I said, it turns people away.
Mhm.
And me being a victim of that, I'm the one who said I'd eat the cheeseburger, right? So like me being a victim into that. So let me ask, how does you have your balance, you have a plan going into this year, but what is it like for you whenever um, things things happen to where it kind of throws
Oh.
you off balance? How do you find yourself being able to hop back on that horse? Very uh, is it easy for you to kind of get back into the swing of things? Is it hard? What does that kind of look like for you?
I mean, life is never perfect. Obviously, you have stuff thrown at you all the time, good and bad. I'm religious, so I'm thinking something's really hard. Like, God gives his battles to the strongest warriors. Like, I've got it. Or God will put a blessing in your life. Like, my boyfriend, I was not planning on having a boyfriend this semester, and then I'm over here and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we have a lot of the same values. Yes, I'm spending more time with him where I'd be like, typically studying or reading or something, but he's over here like, hey, let's do a study date. Hey, like, let's do a devotional. Like, so you get thrown off path by good things and bad things.
Mm-hmm.
The way that, I get back on is it's more discipline. Now, don't get me wrong, I had to change my gym schedule coming to college because I was like, there's just no way that I can go 6 days a week. Like, that is just not happening for me. I hate the walks to the gym. Like, I hate the 15-minute walk in the cold. If I'm being on, Paul. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I hate that 15-minute walk in the cold. But I can do it a few days a week. Yeah. So I should go really hard a few days a week and really focus on that intensity instead. And you can't beat yourself up about the things you can't control. Mm-hmm. You have to recognize, like, a lot of life is out of your hands. And so you're like, well, that happened. That sucks. How do we recuperate from it? Like, how do we move on from this? How do either we fix what happened, or how do I emotionally repair from that to move on and stay disciplined and stick with my goals and what I'm doing?
Yeah. And is that something that's like is it usually as easy as that, like, for you, just to be able to look at the situation at hand and be like, okay, is this something I can fix right now? Is it something that has to be later? Just because, for me, whenever it's something that I'm thinking about, it's usually just like, I wouldn't say an all day thing, but it holds me for a good while, to the point mm-hmm. where it feels like it's adding more to my plate that doesn't necessarily be there. And I was talking with Carson about this last week, but whenever you have so many things on your plate and you're trying to really, and if you're, the type of people we are, you want to get them all done. Mm-hmm. And it can be, what's the word?
Like overwhelming?
Oh, to the point of not being able to even want to do anything. Yeah, it freezes you. So is that something where, do you feel like you've got a little bit more control over that aspect of being able to really delegate your task and how you have to think about moving forward, mm-hmm. to where it's not really freezing you as much?
So I will say that it's a growing mindset. Like, it's a mindset that I've actively been working on, and I really believe in that speaking something makes it real. Mm-hmm. So if I'm saying, like, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, like, this list is so long, then yeah, I'm going to think that I'm so anxious and this list is so long. But if I'm like, there was a Instagram post and it was a 5-year-old and she was telling her mom how she wanted to be an astronaut. And her mom was like, oh, like, how are you going to be an astronaut? And she was like, I just have to get good grades, go to school, learn how to be an astronaut, and go to space. That's only 4 things. And I was like, you're right, that's only 4 things. Like, yes. So now I just look at it and I'm like, okay, like, this is only 6 things. Like, that's fine. Now, one of those things might take an hour and a half, and one of those might take like 5 minutes, walking and getting one of my textbooks that I had to do today. But it's a mindset of not letting something cripple you. Mm-hmm. The things that, I obviously, no one's perfect. As much as I wish that would apply to, like, every aspect of my life, it really doesn't. Yeah. The things that cripple me is, like, losing friends. Like, mm-hmm. losing friendships. Now, that's really hard for me because of, like, my past experience, like, high school and everything. So it's really hard for me to accept that, like, losing friends is part of it. Like, losing friends is part of life. And, we can get into this later, but, like, you are who you surround yourself with. So it's kind of having to disassociate, but in a good way. Yeah. Like, because I know disassociating is normally related with, like, something bad. But kind of being able to take a step back and look at your situation from an outside perspective and be like, okay, was this person bringing me joy? Was this person encouraging me? Was this person really adding to my life? Or did I just want them to be? Mm-hmm. Because there's a difference between them actually doing them like doing that and you wanting them to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the things that cripple me, losing friendships, the way to like stay focused is like literally just gaslight yourself into thinking that it's nothing. Like, back to what Rashid said, like being Delulu, like it gets you far.
Yeah, so tell me about that. You know, how does that kind of mindset and, you know, being delusional get you closer towards your goals yourself? Like, do you have any examples that, you know, is probably, you know, would be kind of good to share to the people?
I mean, yeah, like my sponsorship. I'm over here and I'm like, with my following, like I think I'm like, okay, 7K, like that's really small. I think that's small. But I know that with the way I've been like following through with my obligations and everything, I'm like, this is easy as cake. Like I got this. I enjoy this. I enjoy the product. Like it's really easy for me to talk about a product that I used before I was signed with them. Like I used this before and then I just happened to get signed and it was great.
Yeah, it all kind of just worked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not as much delusion in myself, but it's trusting other people. So like one of my really good best friends, his name's Jagger.
Jagger.
Isn't that a cool name?
I like it.
Yeah. So he's one of my best friends. We help each other a lot with business. So he believes in me more than I believe in myself some of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's over here like, hey, like we're talking about this consulting call that I just did with that small business. He's like, hey, I have a friend and he like wants a little bit of feedback. Could you go look at his website and his social medias and see like if you can help him reach so and so goal? I was like, yeah, for sure. So I went and I looked and, you know, I pointed out some things and I'm like, okay, like he's probably already done this. Like this is probably really obvious. Like, you know, I'd learned from my last job. I was like, no, like this, you can do this. Like this is something you can improve on. Like this is how the algorithm works. And like this is where it's a shortcoming is. I got on this call with him. We went through everything and I think he thought I was pretty smart at the end of it.
Yeah.
and I mean, I was looking at this of like, yeah, like, you know, I probably won't be of much value. And then he texted Jagger after and he was like, hey, like, it was so great talking to Jessie. Like, I actually learned a lot. She asked me a lot of questions if I implemented stuff and, like, I didn't even know what they were. So I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, he was delusional for me.
Yeah.
But I followed through with the delusion of capability. And then you kind of, like, I talked myself down to a point. Like, I didn't want to give myself enough credit for, like, knowing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so I think it's literally just have delusions of capability.
And I think that's huge. I mean, that's what ultimately got me to start my podcast. So like the reason I left my last job was for this. It wasn't because I didn't think I could do both necessarily, but it was just like, okay, like I'm good at this. This takes up a lot of time in my week.
Yeah.
Whereas this is what I want to be great in, my podcast. But the thing about starting a podcast is, you know, there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts. There's people who are famous have their own podcasts. Yeah. So now I'm not just competing against the guys, the small town people who want to start this kind of thing. I'm dealing against people who already have established connections, established networks, knowing they can put out an episode and get so many amount of views out of it, be able to get celebrities on their podcast, you know. And so I had to be delusional about it and really just be like, okay, well, what's my goal here? You know, my goal here is to not just have a great podcast, but have the best podcast. So I'm going against, you know, people like George Jenko, Jay Shetty, Logan Paul, you know, things like that, where it's like, but that's the only way I can get it done.
Exactly. And I mean, I think especially, I mean, in life and business and in fitness as well, I mean, I was always taught comparison is a thief of joy. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing something that you genuinely enjoy, that you love, that you are like, this is what I want to do, I'm giving back, like I'm reaching my goals. I mean, in my opinion, that's all it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's always going to be someone richer, someone happier, someone that lives in like a bigger house, that has more connections. And I don't know, it's kind of a point where I know especially this year, I kind of just checked out. I was like, comparison is a thief of joy. I'm blessed in my life. Like, I have amazing people around me. I've really supported people around me. And it's a small group. But I am genuinely happy with what I'm doing. I'm genuinely happy with how I'm growing. Mm-hmm. So I know that's something that I focus on is like, yes, I have these huge ambitions, these huge goals, but I'm going to set those goals for myself.
Okay.
Instead of being like, I'm going to be like, Dave Ramsey. Like a huge name in finance, in financial literacy. Because it's like, this is something I enjoy. Like, it's something I love doing.
Yeah, and it's good to be able to have those things and those people where you can look at it and be like, that's the kind of level I want to get on from a, exactly, from a very much like dissecting it and inspecting
Mm-hmm.
kind of way so you can apply it. But as soon as you start comparing yourself directly to these people, that's whenever you
Yeah.
start beating yourself up, really getting down on it. And, it goes from, oh, this is something I'm just passionate about and wanting to do
So now it's
into,
like what I have to do.
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like something that's really good about your podcast is like you're not trying to be anyone else. Like you're really following your own flow with it. You're going with your own passion. Like obviously you're bringing on people that we know that have done some cool stuff. Like hello, like Rashid and Carson, and like now like I'm really honored to be on here. I'm so excited to be talking to you about this.
Yeah.
But like the way that you're taking a step, you're not trying to be someone else. You're not trying to be someone that there is already, because there's someone like that already.
Yeah.
You don't want two of those people. Like,
yeah.
each person's their own individual. So I think that you're slaying that part.
I'm slaying. Let's
You're
go.
slaying.
Let's go. I really appreciate that. That was the biggest thing, is really going into myself. I'm not afraid to say that I've always had self-confidence, self-esteem issues just growing up. I had a twin sister who I was constantly felt like I was being compared to.
Mm-hmm.
That went into even as young as 4 years old, where she has this huge amount of friends and I have my friends over here, but my friends, it always felt like I was trying to be in that group and not just like be myself in it. And it wasn't until I'd say about a year or two ago where I was just like, okay, well, like I need to be myself, and just whoever wants to be cool with me, whoever wants to come along for the ride, cool.
Yeah.
If they don't like me, fuck them.
I totally agree with that. Like, struck a chord, totally agree with that, because, I was raised by an immigrant mother, an immigrant father, like, end up being divorced parents. So I was raised with a completely different set of values than a lot of the people that, I went to school with in my suburban hometown in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I totally relate with you. Like, I want to be in this group. Like, I want to mold myself to fit as part of this group. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, like, oh my gosh, like, this group is not fulfilling me. Like, what these people are doing, it's fulfilling for their life. Like, what they're doing on the weekends, it fulfills them, but it doesn't fulfill me.
Yeah.
And then being able to, like, recognize that difference. I mean, that's the really great part about college. And don't get me wrong, UNT was not my first choice. I have met very few people where they were like, yep, dream school, UNT.
Yeah.
It ended up falling into my lap, and I mean, it was a blessing. And being very particular about who you genuinely surround yourself with, like your close friends, is, I think it's essential. Like, you are who you surround yourself with. Like, my best friends, my boyfriend, like, it's all a similar mindset, and type of person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing that I've noticed, I'll just say with my boyfriend, like, he doesn't play video games. Now, I'm not saying video games are bad. I'm not saying... yeah. No, I knew that was coming. I know the sick voice. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that it was an observation I made with him, where I look over and this man's playing Sudoku. This man is playing Wordle. He's playing Connections, all like the New York Times games. Rolling over at 1 o'clock, asking me, like, hey, you want to play Sudoku? And I'm like, baby, I'm going to sleep. Like, and
I think that's like absolutely wild. By the way, hey, you want to play some Sudoku?
I know he loves it, and I know he genuinely loves like stretching his brain like that. And we talk about, he's like, yeah, I'm in the car. Like, I don't really listen to music. I listen to podcasts, or I listen to books. I listen to audiobooks. Like, oh, like, normally I'm the one putting like my friends onto books. I was like, oh, like, what books are you listening to? And he was like, oh, currently, like, I'm listening to this one. I think you'd really enjoy it. I think you would really take away some value from the book. And I'm over here like, you trying to like put a ring on my hand? Like, what are you trying to do? So, I mean, obviously he's my life all the time, and the amount of effort that we both put into, like, picking each other really did rely on those core values, but then also maintaining those type of standards when it comes to friends. And I mean, then that ties back to like, losing friends, that really hurt me in the beginning. Like, that was, struck a chord, because I like being loved by everybody, which obviously not possible. It's not gonna happen.
It's such a hard trait to have. Yeah, it's because I'm the same way. I'm a people pleaser. I like being liked, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a sense of like, oh, I need to be liked, but it's just more of,
You're like, oh, like they all like me. Like I know everybody here.
yeah,
Like,
I just like knowing everybody. I
yeah.
like being able to go into a group of people, but I've learned growing up that the more you align like that, you're actually kind of pushing yourself further away from
You are
exactly you're
100%.
because if you want to be liked by everyone, that means you're willing to fold to just about anything. And if you do that,
Exactly.
then people kind of take note of that. But it's the people who
Mm-hmm.
walk strong in their beliefs, their values, and
And you attract similar people that
exactly.
also walk strong in their beliefs and walk strong in their values.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think like, who would I want my kids to call aunt? You know?
Yeah.
Like my best friend Kennison, she's one of them. I got 3, which is such a blessing. I have like 3 really good friends, especially at school. And I mean, if you can count more than one genuine friend that you're at like 3 a.m. you're stranded, you can call this person. They're gonna come pick you up, no questions asked. They'll bring one of the SIG boys if they need to, because they're like, okay, like who we gotta fight?
Yeah.
Like you're blessed.
Yeah.
So realizing that the way you carry yourself and the way that you act towards others and what you value will attract similar people if you hold strong to it. I mean, it's great. It keeps those standards high for who you surround yourself with, because like back to Jagger, he's got some amazing projects going on right now that aren't announced yet, so I won't out him on that, but like some absolutely amazing projects.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so knowledgeable, so smart, and what's great, like he keeps me like he values my opinion, and which is a woman in entrepreneurship as well as finance, like those are primarily male dominated fields. Like you think of entrepreneur and like, yes, you see some amazing female entrepreneurs, but a lot of the time it's like males, especially in the finance industry as well. So it's the fact that he does value my opinion and he takes that into consideration when working on these projects. And then my friend Kennison, like she wants to own her own insurance company. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
Like that is, or insurance branch. Like that's huge. I would be proud for my kids to call those friends their aunts and uncles.
Yeah. And really being able to like surround yourself with trailblazers, it sounds like people who are wanting to break into fields that are, usually dominated by a specific mold of people where y'all are essentially y'all are actually building y'all's own future going into it, not just following somebody else's footsteps, but y'all are doing it together.
Yeah, which I mean, not everyone's built for. If I'm being genuinely honest, like I talk to my mom about it a lot. She's like, dress like this, it's just not for everyone. Like some people are genuinely content and thrive the best with instruction and working for other people. She's like, and that's fine. Like that is 100% fine. You love those people because there needs to be every single type of person in the world. Like not everyone's going to be entrepreneurs. Not everyone's going to be successful entrepreneurs. Not everyone's going to be an amazing cashier or bank teller or like construction worker. Like all of those industries are needed to make the world go round. So you don't. It's not as much the job that you're attracted to in friends. It's the values.
Yeah. I think that's huge. So the guy I was talking to on the phone, I talked to him. We're setting something up to where I can manage his social media for right now and still being able to. Thank you. It's definitely something I've been wanting to do. But I'm also going to be helping him with like sales and just learning more about his business and business in general, so I can grow my own skill set while helping him grow his business. And the reason why I reached back, he actually reached out twice, offered me like to come work for him, and I said no both times. And well,
in that yes mindset.
Well, see, the reason I did was because it was very much so. I just left my job. I'm looking for jobs where I can get more guaranteed money for my work output, benefits.
So not commission.
I want salary. And so, but I've been thinking about it over the past week, and I'm just like, okay, so say I get the job I'm looking for, salary, great. What am I working towards now? Where am I hustling at? Like, yes, I can hustle with my podcast, and I more than definitely am, but that just seems like it's going to end up being something where it's more like I'll be able to, record about content. Like once I start getting it's not even going to really feel like a hustle anymore. It's just going to be like, I want that to be clockwork.
But you have to consistent. Have capital to invest in it in the first place.
Exactly.
And like financial stability, which is totally understandable.
Exactly. And so when I started thinking, I was just like, well, with my last job, what it did was it threw me in the fire to where I had to learn how to market. I had to learn how to
Mm-hmm.
sell. I had to do pretty much all this stuff all on my own, to where it's like feeding into my lifestyle now. It's like, okay, well, if I want to be this efficient in this way, I need to wake up at this time so I can go to the gym in this spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, now my days are more structured. They're more, everything just fell into place as far as the discipline just rising. I needed something that was going to put me back in that.
Yeah.
And so with him, it's ground up. He's really doing this on his own. He has a couple VAs that's helping him out, and a couple people that's working for him. So I'm just like, look, while I'm still working on my podcast and while I'm still looking for a salary, I know that if I take this opportunity here to help you grow your dream in business, it will help me because it'll bring more discipline and structure into my life.
And
it'll
knowledge.
Bring a goal, knowledge, essentially this job over here isn't really about the money for me, but it's more about the mentality it can put me under and the things I'll be learning from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what made me go like, okay, well, third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Let's get together and we can actually start doing this.
I mean, I'll tie this back into my econ class. Like, I love my econ professor. If you go to UNT, Mr. Dixon, best econ professor ever. He's absolutely great, but we were talking about opportunity cost. And so that's saying, like, okay, say you pass up a $50,000 salary job, you're making $20,000 at your current position, but you pick this $20,000 position. Your opportunity cost is the $50,000, but that $20,000 means so much more to you because you're learning advertising, you're learning marketing, you're learning sales, you're learning finances. I mean, that's what I had in my job over break, and I'm really grateful. I worked at a vapor shop in Carrollton. And we're a large online retailer. 95% of our sales are online. It's called Big D Vapor. And I mean, I can legally work there. I'm 18. I don't use any of our products. And I mean, it's great because the value is getting people off cigarettes. Yeah. And so he's like a family friend. He owns it. And he's like, I swear, if I see you touch anything, no. Yeah. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. And I mean, I didn't look at it in that aspect. I looked at it as this company was started by an entrepreneur, a very successful entrepreneur. Now, I got to see, this is how I know, he valued my knowledge, my opinion. He let me see the books. And from there, I was like, okay, this is the behind the scenes finance of an actual company. This company's been around for 11 years. Whoa. I'm looking at.
It's getting real.
I'm looking through all the finances, and I'm looking through how I'm getting to learn from him. That's how I know all about Shopify. I'm getting to learn from Brittany, and that's how I know about dealing with vendors. Brittany's one of our other managers there. So it's I get compensated well. I love my job. I love the environment. I love the people I work with, and the amount that I learn is, I think, priceless to me because you do have to learn it somewhere. And I would rather learn that when I'm 18 than at a job when I'm 24. So I'm yeah, I'm working, 10 to 5, and I love working 10 to 5. Don't get me wrong, great flexibility with my hours. Could work, pretty much full time. And I'm that's great because, I'm in college. It's expensive to live. Yeah. But then being able to apply that knowledge into, that's the knowledge that I use for that consulting call. And really just seeing the flow of everything makes that opportunity cost worth it, because you're whoa, once you take a step back and you hear yourself say something and you're whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That's
whenever you start sounding like a pro.
Yeah. Yes. And I mean, if not, just say it with confidence. You're fine.
Yeah, for sure.
If they really don't know what you're talking about, just say it with confidence. You're fine.
Exactly, because chances are they don't know either.
Yeah, and anything's better than possibly what they're doing then. So
let me ask you, you're going into that. Well, first, I think that's a huge difference in where people are going towards where they're headed, where they want to go compared to where they're headed, is that learning mindset. Really understanding that it's not just point A to point B. It's everything that's in
between.
Yeah.
It's all the gas station stops between point A and point B.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another reason why I made this podcast, is to really show people and let them understand, hey, look, if you want to be at point B and you're at point A, you can't just decide to wake up one day, start recording videos, making clips, and just, it's going to pop off. No, this podcast could pop off next week, or it could pop off
Next
6 years
year,
from
yeah.
now. It's like, but it's just about the consistency and really being able to learn.
Yeah, I totally agree with that learning mindset. That is something that my mom instilled in me from so young. She really valued education. So I was in Montessori school up until 3rd grade when I told her, I was like, hey mom, like I'm done. I want better science program, like put me in public school. So she put me in public school.
Okay.
And I was like, Jackie, you are amazing for that. Like, thank you so much.
That's a conversation you had with your mom in
Oh my gosh,
second
yeah.
grade?
I was like, I think it was end of 3rd grade. Yeah, and I told her, I was like, Mom, like their science program is not good, which is funny because I'm not a STEM major. I was like, I'm gonna be a woman in STEM, and then I talked to women in STEM, and I was like, I'm gonna be a woman in business. I'm not doing that. But yeah, and she really valued my opinion. But the way that Montessori is based, it's self-guided learning, so it's like you start where you're supposed to start in math, so you can be starting up here in math, but down here in English, and you can consistently do both. But in public. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that she did that. And then she would supplement that with outside learning as well. So we really valued like the arts and theater and like going to sports games, and like I was going to children's operas when I was like 3. Like I saw the Rockettes when I was 4.
Okay.
Like, so it's that kind of balance, and then that just like curiosity, because it's really curiosity when you're little, developed into like a love of learning. They really started in college. Like, I'm not gonna lie. High school, I was like, this is so dumb. Like, I hate these classes. Like, why am I taking Algebra 2? Like, why am I taking Trig? Like, I don't need this in my degree. Yeah. And then now in college, it's like, okay, this is an elective class, but, like, appreciation of dance as a contemporary art form, right? Most people, they hated on that class. But I'm over here and I'm like, okay, I found one thing that I really valued in this class that pulled me through the whole semester. One thing that I really value in econ, pulled me through the whole semester. Business calc, ooh. Business calc that's gonna be a trial.
Yeah.
But like one thing in business calc, one value, one thing it's gonna teach me, that'll pull me through the whole semester.
Yeah, and you see, I don't think I ever really had that in school. So my school journey was kind of funky, not gonna lie. So I graduated high school 2018. Went to Blinn College for a couple of years, kind of just did whatever out there, but I went into school thinking, oh yeah, engineering, like I know how to plug cords into certain spots on my TV. I can do this. And then my first class, I was like, nope, never again.
You're like, tap it out, 1, 2, 3, nope, get me out.
This is boring. And so then I went to computer science. That was a little bit more fun. You
went from boring to boring.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
No, that definitely a couple trials. I just decided at that point because I liked it. I thought it was interesting because it's like a puzzle. You know, what line code can I put in to make this thing work? But then it was just like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be behind a screen. I want to be more involved with people. And that's what kind of sent me, okay, well, how can I be involved with people? Where do I fit in? Psychology. You know, I was a psychology major for about 2-3 years of me just, you know, just the pure interest I have on people was what got me through that. Then they introduced math. And once I got into math for psychology, I was
You're like 1, 2, 3, get me out.
Sucks. Like, what do I do now? And I went into integrative studies, and that's when I took my first entrepreneurship class. I took media entrepreneurship, and I was like, this is something I can get behind. I've always wanted to be my own boss.
It's the people,
I'm learning.
it's the skills, it's the learning behind it.
Exactly. Like, it's just, it's the hustle. Like, I love to hustle. I love whenever I'm in panic mode, because then, you know, I'm uncomfortable. I not say I like living in uncomfortability, but if I live
moments of it are good.
If I live too comfortably, that's when I start getting very like anxious, bored. Like it's just it's never. I like comfortability as a reward. Yeah. You know, and so once I figured that out, I ended up having to take a break from school because of financial reasons. Started working in sales, and that's when I was like, okay, I pretty much got nothing from school out of that peak and glimpse of entrepreneurship. And if I were to go back to school, that's what I'd want to learn a little bit more. But it's just the fact where I feel like I've gone through it for so long. My only choice is to really go back to school to finish my communications and health. You know, unless I pop off on some money to where I can use and health.
Oh, I thought you said in hell.
School was hell for me.
It's not for everybody, and
it's
like
not.
Like my dad, he's a blue collar worker. He's a master cabinet maker by trade, and like he makes gorgeous pieces, and he loves making cabinets. And just school was not for him.
Yeah.
And like you have to recognize, like, yeah, entrepreneurship to a point does not need a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really don't need a degree if you're going to go in and do what you love and you have that ability to learn, because now more than ever, like, there's a website online called Coursera, and they provide, it's a bunch of free college, like, curriculum, I guess, kind of, that are posted online, and they're free. Some of them you, like, pay, like, $20 and you get a certificate saying that you completed, like, the training.
What?
Oh, it's great. Like, Harvard posts their computer science classes on there. Like, it's...
Okay. I gotta check it out. Yeah.
No, I definitely would, because if you enjoy learning, but it's either that because looking at my own tuition payments, it's making me real grateful for my mom.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, girl, do you see this? And she's like, yes, Jessica, I see it. And I'm like, okay, just making sure. It's like, if you're interested in learning, there's so many ways to learn, especially in this age of technology.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think that a lot of people aren't really, it's not clicking yet. We're in this weird state where the ways of old are starting to change, and it's, technology is so rapid. Like, I mean, once ChatGPT came out, colleges were freaking out because, like, okay, well, how can we tell if this person's cheating or not?
And my thing is like, if I can cheat on your test, and if you don't know that it's cheating, and I get a good grade,
fucking do it all day.
Yeah, like, I've got to plug in the keywords to ChatGPT. They got to know what I'm looking for. But also, like, I use ChatGPT to write my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn bio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to my mom about it. She's like, yeah, mine took me like an hour and a half and like a lot of editing. And I was like, I know mine's a lot shorter, but like, I just plugged that home into ChatGPT, and like, I have a perfectly like professional sounding bio. Hits all my points, hits all my bullets, all my strengths, like, and that took me like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Through ChatGPT. Like, you're behind if you're not using AI as a tool at this point.
Yeah.
Which is so weird, because it was literally like 2 years ago where people were freaking out about ChatGPT being in schools.
And the crazy thing is, my friend Logan, he's a computer developer or program, whatever. He's in computer science, and AI has been, doing the same thing it's been doing for years now. And it's just, okay, now that it got pushed into the mainstream, now a lot more people are focused on it. To the point where I saw a thing where it's like 44% of companies are removing the requirement for bachelor's degree.
Really? Because I've been seeing that more have just been adding it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that they've been removing it. I mean, it's been talked that, like, it's not as much what you have your degree in. It's like, the paper it's the entrance ticket to the fair, but then you have to have the little mini tickets to go on, like, all the little rides, and that's your knowledge and that's your experience.
But we're getting to a point now where it's like, because there's things like ChatGPT, and because there's, like, my last year in college, there was not
Don't snitch on yourself now.
Hey, I mean, I'm out now. So, but all throughout college, my last year, I was doing ChatGPT for pretty much everything. And I didn't fail a class. Like, I didn't put too much effort into it. So I'm sure employers are looking at that now and just being like, okay, like, we're never really going to be able to tell unless we get them in and they're able to absolutely, like, show. And I think that's where what we need more of is just people, like, there could be a dude down the street who, worked every day of his life outside of high school. And then there's a guy who went and got, his bachelor's degree. A bachelor's degree ain't really shit. Like, most jobs where you need a degree, like, to be able to do the job, they make you get your master's or your doctorates.
And I mean, I was talking to my friends going to my gym did introduce me to a lot of amazing people. Like, one of my good friends, Sophia, different Sophia, she just quit her full-time job in finance and moved to LA to be a full-time content creator. Like, the opportunities that social media gave her were insane, but we were talking about finance because obviously that's one of my degrees. And she was like, Jess, I'm going to be real with you. I did not learn anything in college. Like, you learned everything in your first year of work. And it's like, well, what am I here for? Like, what is this for then? Like, if I'm not learning anything. And at the end of the day, it's like, I know I enjoy learning and I like having that baseline kind of knowledge. So that's why I enjoy college, is because I like learning.
Yeah.
And I know what I want to do. And the only reason I found out what I wanted to do, so I don't know if I put this in my form, but like, I'm an Eagle Scout. So,
okay.
Yeah.
You did not put that in your form.
Oh, yeah, well, that's there. I was one of the founding members of one of the first nationally recognized troops in the United States. And I got my Eagle Scout, and Tarleton College hosts a Merit Badge College every year for a weekend in February. Graduating high school early, I was like, I'm not going to college. Like, I'm probably going to work for a year. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to college. I was thinking about going to the Coast Guard. Like, I was going to go to the military. That's how much I was not going to go to college.
Was it just like
you
just didn't think it was for you,
I
or did
didn't
you
know
just
what
have
I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
that's because they don't set you up for it in high school.
They do not. I had no idea what I wanted to do, genuinely at all. And I thought it was so dumb to go into college just to possibly change my degree 3 times, pay for first year 3 times. I'm like, this is absolutely, sorry, not a dig to you, but something that I personally, didn't want to. I was like, I want to be here 4 years, I want to get out. Well, it turns out I'm staying here for 5 now because of 2 of my majors.
Yeah.
But I went to this Merit Badge College at Tarleton. One great class. It was my entrepreneurship class. That professor in itself made me want to go to college. And I was like, cool dude. I'm down school now. That was in February of my, I want to say, senior year. Went home to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm going to school. And she was like, great, where? I was like, I don't know. Let's see what's still open.
Yeah.
I applied in March to UNT for August. And I got in. And so now I'm in school. But it's kind of that there's a switch that clicks, Okay. And it doesn't click for everybody. Like, not everybody thrives in school, to be honest. Like, and it's not a dig. It's not saying I'm better than you. It's just saying it's a statement of fact.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just glad to be able to have gone through the experience I have with college. Because, I still don't exactly know what my plan is for school.
But look what you're doing now.
Exactly.
You're slaying.
I'm doing I'm working, making money. I'm actually doing what I really want to do. And life just doesn't get much better than that. College was just like this weight for me where it's like due dates. I wasn't learning anything. It was just like, okay, if I can get this assignment in by the due date and get a good grade on it, I'm chilling. And like you said, what kind of life is wasting that time in order to really, like, your opportunity cost.
Yeah. Opportunity cost. Slay.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Dixon. I'm using your class.
Why am I wasting my time 5, 6, maybe 7 hours of a day,
that's
doing
a lot
this?
Of time, too.
That's a lot of time. That's almost a third of your day.
And then not even counting the homework hours, too, that you need for each of those classes. It's wild.
And so that's a big thing. For my next question is, we have all this groundwork set, but what do you ever find yourself like? How should I ask this?
Throw out some words. I'll put them together.
Do you ever find how does it how's it usually for you whenever you find yourself in a down state? Like for me, it's I go and I can hit all these highs, but that one low is just crippling almost.
Yeah. I was actually talking about this with my boyfriend the other night. We were talking about the rule of thirds. So that was saying a third of your year is going to be really, really good days. Okay. A third of your year is going to be like they're okay days. And a third of your year is going to be the really bad days. So you have to have bad days to have the good days. Okay. So if it's a third, that's a really good year. Right? Yeah. So you have to realize as well, it's about perspective. So, don't get me wrong. There are days where I absolutely shut down. Tuesday, I was on and off sleeping until 2 p.m. That is not how I was supposed to spend my Tuesday. Yeah. But you get up and you're like, well, damn. We have a date tomorrow night and I have 4 homework assignments due. So you stay up and you grind through it because that's what you need to do. So it's kind of just becomes discipline over motivation whenever you have those bad days. And also, don't beat yourself up about it. Yeah. You're allowed to have those slum days where you just stay in your sweats and crop top and stay in bed and watch 10 Things I Hate About You. You're allowed to have those days. So it's kind of knowing that I can give myself that slack because I have some really, really productive days. Mm-hmm. It's just not being too hard on yourself. And then, I talk to my friends. And I talk to all my really productive friends and I'm like, hey, I'm having not a good day. And they're like, okay, what have you done today? And I'm like, nothing. I ate a whole box of Cheez-Its. That's what I did today. And okay, well, what's on your list today? And we go through my list and okay, what's the thing that's going to take the shortest amount of time? I was okay, this one. Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone till you do that. So then
good friends. Yeah.
Great friends.
Yeah. All about who you surround yourself with. If you're gonna
100%.
surround yourself with people who are gonna kind of enable those bad actions, I guess is that something you try to stay away from as far as helping your own mental state?
No, I think it's healthy. I think you definitely need people that aren't go all the time, because then that prevents burnout. I think there need to be people that recognize, like, okay, yeah, like, you're having a bad day. How much? And again, back to boyfriend, we were implementing like a season, so we were talking about, hey, how much energy do you have today? Or like going up and being like, hey, babe, I only have like 20% today. You know, the goal is to get to that 100%. And if they're like, that's okay, I have the 80%. Like, I can do that today. I can be the 80%. I can get us to 100. And I mean, if I also have a bad day and I'm like, hey, babe, I only have 20%. And he's like, I only have 20% too. Then, you know, you sit down, you talk about it, and you figure out how you're going to make up that other 60% to get to that 100%.
Are these conversations you have with him, like, you know, pretty often?
Yeah, I think that I really value communication, and I mean, he values that as well, so it's something I'm really grateful that we have in our relationship. And it's just saying, like, no, we both have lives, and like, we both have these huge goals, and we're not stopping our lives for each other. You know, and so it's staying, supporting each other, and I mean, it's just more, I guess, prevalent, like, talked about in a relationship, but then in a friendship as well. It's just like knowing your friends. Like, you go on FaceTime and you're like, okay, I can see it in her eyes. Like, she just can't today. Like, I'm gonna go support her. I'm gonna offer, like, if she wants me to bring her coffee from Starbucks, like, or if she wants me to go sit in her room and like watch a movie with her. She wants me to bring her mac and cheese, like, or okay, she has a glint in her eye. Like, I can push her to do this one thing. Yeah. Like, she can accomplish one thing today. Because even if it's like a really small thing, like today, I'll be honest, I did nothing. And I was looking at my list. Actually, I completed some of my list. But I was like, okay, I need to go get this textbook. I've been in this class. Actually, I just got off the wait list, like a week. I've been in this class, and I was like, okay, I got, Mom, don't listen, a 56 on my quiz because I did not read this book because I wasn't in class. So I was like, okay, I need to go get this book. Felt so much more accomplished after just getting the book and then coming over here. And I'm like, oh, that was great. Like, it's just that one small thing that makes me feel better about lazy days. But also having those friends that can recognize, like, okay, either, like, you've got this energy to do one thing today and feel good about it, or, like, I can see it in you. Like, just take a day. Like, and reassure you that it's okay to take a day. Yeah. Because it really is that balance with uncomfortability. Like, which is a word that I made up. But it is 100%. It's that balance of being uncomfortable because, you know, you're not always going to be comfortable. You're not always going to be happy with who you are that day. You're not always going to be happy with your attitude that day. Like, don't get me wrong. Some days I bet my friends are thinking, like, is she always this mean? Like, is she always this blunt? Like, I'm a very blunt person. Yeah. And, you know, we all have days like that where it's like, if you need some tough love, I'm going to give you tough love. Yeah. If you need some, like group hugs, I'll give you a group hug. I won't like the group hugs, but I'll give you a group hug because I know that that's, like, what will make them feel loved and successful and okay that day. Mm-hmm. So I think it's that balance of being comfortable with doing nothing and then uncomfortable doing something when you want to be comfortable doing nothing. I feel like it, especially at your age, because you're 18, right? And so I feel like at your age, that's very much like it goes a lot through your nurturing and how it started. Like you said, it was, how do you say it? Montessori? The school? Montessori? Yeah, like being in a Montessori school where you're self-guided on based on your own things, to where by third grade you're having this conversation with your mom saying, hey, I know exactly what I need. Yeah, imagine like your 10-year-old coming up, or how old are you in third grade? 10-ish? Yeah, like 9, 10? 8. Oh, 8 or 9. Yeah. Telling my mom, being like, the science program here is not good. Like, imagine your 8-year-old having that much attitude and telling you that science is not good. Like, all right, Einstein. I'd be like, girl, what do you even know about science? Mm-hmm. Like, that abiotic and biotic, like, is that all you know? Mm-hmm. Like, 8 years old. But then you have to surround yourself also by the people that have faith in you. And now, don't get me wrong, you cannot pick your parents. Okay. And I was blessed with a strong, smart, amazing mother who genuinely did trust us, like a lot. Mm-hmm. She really trusted us. I tried, like, every sport under the sun. I did every extracurricular. Like, she got me there. She was there. She was supportive. And, yeah, she trusted 8-year-old me, saying, not enough science. She moved houses, sold our house,
Mm-hmm.
We moved houses into a smaller house, and so I could get to one of the better public schools that was in our area at the time before we moved to my current hometown. So it was like, she had some faith. She had some faith for real in me, and I just think that that's something you can't replace. Like, that's really invaluable. Like, she's just there. And then continuing those values, like, okay, those are the values, like I see my mom, seeing the people that make me feel fulfilled and successful and that trust me. How do I direct that into like a significant other and friends?
Yeah, and that was actually like perfectly segueing to my next question.
Yeah.
Was, do you feel like just having that kind of relationship with your mom has been able to help you filter out those relationships amongst your friends and loved ones? Because, I know people out there who get in a relationship just for that, feeling of being loved, even though their partner isn't, rooted in faith 100% towards helping you with your goals. Or same with friends, just because it's a, like me in high school, like I played basketball, so my friends at the time were other people on the basketball team.
Your teammates, yeah.
But they weren't really my friends. Like they shit talked me all the time, brought me down.
I played a girl's sport. I get you.
Yeah.
I feel you with that.
So how do you kind of go about, adding that filter on how you were raised into your relationships nowadays?
I think, honestly, it's like the mom test. Like, how moms just have that intuition? Like, they just know. Like, you can bring someone to meet your mom and they're like, okay, Jessica, we'll talk after. And I'm like, girl, like, no, tell me now, I want to know now. So yeah, it's kind of that mom test of like, she's a psychologist as well, so she's psychic. We'll get her a crystal orb or something.
I'm definitely analyzing as soon as we meet.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, but it's great, and it definitely did make me realize like that's how I feel loved. Mm-hmm. I feel loved when I feel like my opinion is valued. When I feel valued as an individual with words of affirmation, but also like quality time. Like my mom and I will have cheese board nights. Like whenever I go back home, she'll like go and she'll get these really nice cheeses that I love. Like she knows I love blue cheese. And we'll just have these cheese board nights where we'll sit like by the fire with our cheese board and we'll just talk for literal hours. It'll be on a weeknight when she has work tomorrow. We'll talk until like 2, 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So it made me realize the values and being able to kind of separate those values, which she's really good at making me verbalize my thoughts. She's really good at that. What are we looking at?
I don't know if I've been recording any of this.
Well, we'll figure it out. Hey, that's why I have this recording, so at least I have this going. I know how to do the audio and everything on it. I just think it's funny. My first episode was probably my best episode as far as making sure everything went right. The next one, my phone died. Now I'm not recording, but it's all right. Hey, it's all trial and error. Yeah. Can you see it in the reflection of that thing back there to see if the phone's still on?
No, but I know it is just because of, I'm like, okay, well, I know last time I was on 40% and I got an hour and 20 minutes out of it. So, like, it's fully charged. I know it'll be recording. Fine. I just have to figure out how to get the audio to do all that stuff. But,
hey, trial and error. It's honestly all it is, and it's learning from it. But we can cut all that out if we need to. Hey, yeah, it's part of it. Like, it's kind of the transparency of it. Like, nothing's ever going to go perfect. Values from my mom. Yes. She's honestly like a cornerstone of my life. Like, I call her all the time. She calls me all the time. She asks about boyfriends. She asks about friends. Like, when you do genuinely miss them. And every time I leave, it feels like I'm leaving for the first time again for college. And you're like, what is this? Like, I thought I was supposed to get better. Like, as I stayed in college. Like, I thought I was supposed to be fine leaving home. Yeah. And she's surprised I stayed so close. Because she went to University of Melbourne. So I toured University of Melbourne, and I was like, girl, I do not like this.
I like how you say that with an accent. Melbourne? Yeah.
It's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. Yeah, it's Melbourne. Because Americans say Melbourne.
Melbourne.
And that's how we know people have never been to Australia. Because they say Melbourne.
Yeah. Have you been to Australia?
Yeah, multiple times. Both my parents are from there.
So, word.
Yeah, my senior trip was actually 3 weeks solo. Through Melbourne. Which was, honestly amazing. Like, you can never... If you ever want a solo trip, if you want to learn so much about yourself, definitely recommend.
I just can't do spiders, and I feel like Australia, you just see so much about the big spiders, and I just cannot. I just can't.
Like, you're not in the boonies. You're not in the boondocks of Australia. Go to Melbourne.
Are they
It'll be
only
fine.
in the boonies?
I mean, no. But, like, you don't see them. Like, I was there for 3 weeks, and I saw 0 spiders.
Yeah.
0. You'll be fine.
That's my whole thing is I'm like, how can I, Spider-Man's obviously my guy.
Yeah, I
can
can
never
see
become,
the decoration.
I can never be Spider-Man.
I wouldn't want to be Spider-Man. I mean, like, my mom was telling me a horror story about how she had these huntsman spiders, which are literally this big. Like, they are the...
Like, we're talking
yeah. Like,
oh, fuck no.
Like, they're cute. And they took over her treehouse, and she was like, yeah, there were just, like, a dozen of them in there. I could no longer use my treehouse. And I was like,
that was their treehouse at that point.
That's a spider treehouse at that point.
Wow.
But I mean, it's the type of also adventurous because I really do value, that adventure. Like, who would send, I was 17 at the time, who would send their 17-year-old to Australia for 3 weeks by themselves?
That's fair.
Be self-aware.
Yeah.
So,
but again, that
she
falls
had
back into the trust and faith that she had into you.
Exactly. And, like, we all value adventure. And then I was back for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later, we were at this place called Seabase in the Florida Keys. And as a family, we earned our scuba certifications. My mom just, like, refreshed her certification. My brother and I both earned our PADI scuba diving certifications.
Okay.
All together as a family. So it's, like, back to what money buys.
Mm-hmm.
Money buys us experience. It buys us time with family. And, so yeah, that's, like, what I'm... Like, I want money so that I can buy experiences.
Yeah.
So that I can go scuba diving, like, the Red Sea. I think that would be so
awesome.
cool. I want to do the Great Barrier Reef. Like, one of the 7 wonders of the world. If I could see all 7 wonders, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
So it's like what you work towards.
Yeah, and I just feel like from this, I've learned that, like, it sounds like you're able to always be on go because you've been able to be raised and understand how to handle things like downtime.
Yeah.
Like the things that I struggle with, downtime, relationships, being able to really be okay with the work I'm putting out because I know that that's just a step in the process.
It's a step in the process, and, like, look at the super cool people you've already been able to interview.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea that Rashid shot an NBA game. No idea. And I love that kid. Like, I love Rashid. No idea he shot an NBA game. Do I doubt it? No. Have you seen his work? Like, he's amazing. Like, I see his work all the time.
Those first intro, like, into it was all his work. Yeah.
I saw it. I watched the whole intro. I was like, that's Slay Rashid. Rashid slays. But it's also, I have really bad anxiety. So I figure out that whenever my brain isn't working on something, like, I did this a lot in high school, and I was really good about not doing it last year. But this year, I'm back on it.
Okay.
I would stuff my schedule really full because it gave me no time to think.
Yeah.
So whenever I had time to think is when I'd get anxious. When I would start overthinking either relationships, like friendships, school, like think that I wasn't doing enough, like, scouts, giving back, volunteering in my community. I just have really bad anxiety. So I just stuffed my schedule full. And it was great. Now, is it healthy? Probably not. But does it give me a lot of cool experiences? Yes, it does.
Yeah. And do you feel like that now is like something where it's, you're fine with it being in that state of being able to stuff your schedule? Or do you feel like I guess what I'm trying to say here is, like, okay, you acknowledge that anxiety plays that part of whenever you have too much time to think, then of course you're doing nothing but thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So you stuff your schedule, but do you feel like that's something that's necessarily harming you right now? Or do you feel like that it's benefiting you right now? Do you feel like it can harm you in the future? How do you feel about that?
I think it can definitely harm me in the future if I stay a professional in business, like in the corporate world. I mean, like, in 20 years, I see myself being a mom, like, to be honest. So I'll be, 38? So, like, I see myself being a mom. How old will my kids be? I want to have kids at 25, 38. It'll be, like, what, 12?
13, 12, 13,
12.
yeah.
Yeah, so I, like, would probably just be getting back into the workforce at that point. But, like, I really value family. And I know kids are going to keep my schedule busy. Like, they're going to be well-rounded individuals. Like, we're going to be going to theater, sports, school, like... So I think it might be setting me up well for that, but definitely in my professional world, I need to learn how to, like, just take a break, like, take a chill pill.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I like just, not being on anything that forces that to happen, like, being pretty
being able to
pull
let
and
it
chill and like figuring out in my own head, because at the end of the day you can't stop your brain from working.
exactly.
You can only stifle it for a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to go anywhere. So I think right now I honestly don't want to think about if it's beneficial or harmful, because then I know that I need to do something to change it if it is harmful.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I'm chilling, vibing. If it gets bad, I'll deal with it when we get there.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest.
That's how, I mean, honestly, like, and I feel like with that kind of mindset, as long as it's good for you in the now, because that's the thing is if we take ourselves too far into the future, then you're living there and you're stuck there. So now everything that you're doing now is
present.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like now, if it's something where you're doing it and it's bringing you that ease, then it's like, why would you not keep doing it? And of course, once you get to that bridge, then you can cross it.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that, the learning curve in college is working on relationships, like with a friend or romantic relationships, and really knowing that, like, oh, I have actual friends to hang out with now. Like, that's weird. Like, I have people that genuinely enjoy hanging out with me. Like, I didn't have that in high school, and I would stuff my schedule in high school. Mm-hmm. So it's now finding that time. It's like going out to lunch, like at Eagle Landing. It's going out to dinner. It's doing study dates. It's finding time in that busy schedule that I personally value. I love having a busy schedule. It makes me feel productive in the moment.
Yeah.
But then finding time for those relationships as well. I mean, as well as romantic ones. So.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting balance. Just because, you surrounded yourself with the right kind of people. It sounds like to where they can take your busy schedule and be able to make things out of it, like study dates or like being able to like go to Eagle Landing for that quick meal, but still, finding satisfaction in that.
Well, I mean, let me tell you, like, I wish I had that mindset in high school, right? That's when my senior year was when I started. I'm saying junior, senior because it was like my junior year, but it's my last year of high school, so it was like my senior year.
Yeah.
That's when, like, I met Jagger. That's when I started meeting people that were genuinely so ambitious, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why was I trying to fit in with the people that I thought I wanted to be, Southern Texas girls that were, like, raised here. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not how I was raised. When there are people around that are, like, so ambitious, they're so driven, like, they're very business-minded, like, I don't want to be around people like that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, coming to school, you both understand that both y'all have very busy schedules. Like, people that do enjoy learning and want to fill their life with opportunities and experiences in business, you're both going to have busy schedules. So it's finding that time. Like, with some of my friends from home, we'll work out together because, like, we'll both be at the gym at the same time, or we'll get there at the same time, we'll work out individually, meet up and, like, have a protein drink, like a protein shake, or we'll go out to dinner after. Like, it's something you're already going to be doing anyway. You're already going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You're already probably going to go out to eat, which you should not be doing. You should be eating your meal prep. But
gotta do it anyway.
Yeah, cheat meal. Yeah, going out to eat. But then you're finding someone who also has a really busy schedule and is going to do the same two things anyway. So, like, why wouldn't you do it together?
Yeah.
Like, not consolidating the time, but, like, really making the most out of it.
Yeah. So, how do you feel like that, same mentality goes into a relationship where now it's not just spending time with this person? Because yeah, you can spend time every night. You can go over there and just kick back and watch a movie, go to sleep with that person. And that's technically spending time. But relationship, it's more about like growing with this person. Being able to really take both of y'all's lives and grow it into one where especially if you're dating to marry. Like, not saying like, oh, that should be the thing going into it, but
we're in college.
Exactly. But you're dating in a sense to see if this is the person where, as the years go by, I would want to be able to, unite my life with theirs.
Yeah.
And so whenever you have that more of that viewpoint, how does it go about being able to create time where you're spending time, but you're also growing together as a couple?
Yeah, so I think we both really do try to make time for where our only focus is each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing that I will say about our relationship is we communicate very openly. Like my mom thinks I'm weird how openly we communicate. But I know that I really value that because I don't want to be left here second guessing, like, oh, is he mad at me? Like, oh, did I say something wrong? Like, did I not make enough time for him? Like, I just don't have time in my schedule for that, to be honest. Like, I need someone who's going to be blunt and honest with me. And he obviously wants someone who's going to be blunt and honest with him as well.
Yeah.
So I think that really works out. I mean, the other night, he planned a super cute date. We went out, he made a reservation, which if you are a man watching this and you want to impress a girl, put in the effort. Like this showed that he really did want to spend time with me. He asked for my schedule. I didn't know where we were going. He straight up asked for my schedule because he was like, I know you have a busy life. Like, send me your schedule for the next week. Like, I'm going to take you out. And I was like, okay. Like, and our phones, my phone was in my purse. His phone was like on his seat. Like, it wasn't in our view. We were not on our phones. Like, we just talked.
Yeah.
And we could talk openly and deeply because there's just nothing that's really, you're not like ashamed of anything, you know?
Everything's on the table.
Everything is on the table because at this point, like, yeah, I'm not dating to date. You know, you really do have to look at someone and think like, would I want a mini version of this person running around, and would I want to be able to call that person my kid? Like, which that sounds so scary, especially being like this young and in college. But at the same time, I know what I want to do professionally, so I'm going to surround myself with a possible life partner that thinks the same, and that will also support me. Because my poor boyfriend got me at the busiest time of my life. Like, I just added so much to my life, and he's still there, and he's still supportive. He's currently out of town for a track meet, and like, we don't really text during the day, which for some people doesn't work out. But for us, like, it's perfect. And we've talked about it, and he was like, I don't know, in the beginning it kind of like threw me off, but I really appreciate it now. And I was like, yeah, me too, because
you're not bound to, like, I have to check my phone when I'm in the moment of doing something. It's like,
exactly. Like, I'm able to lock in with my study, and I know that if it is a big deal, he'll call me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it will be, and then we call like most nights. If we don't like hang out that night, like, we'll call most nights, and that works out great for us because like, he's at practice, he has class, like, we're both in business calc and we both hate math, so like, we're both going through kind of our own trials with it. And yeah, so even if how most people like wouldn't look at dating right now is like, oh, like, I could possibly marry this person, I'm looking at it from the mindset of like, okay, I know the core values I want. Like, I'm not gonna lower my standards for someone that at the end is going to hinder me when I'm supposed to be doing my most growing in college.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, at this point, you're kind of viewing it as like, okay, like, we're running this straight line together, and, you know, then it's just about how you're handling the deviations from that line, I guess. Yeah. Where it's like, that's whenever the communication plays a big role and a big factor in being able to talk 100%. And understand, like, okay, wow, this isn't like part of the core value that I'm running. It aligns with that. And if we want to stay on the same track and the same race together, then, you know, here's how we have the move. And it's never a me versus you. That's the hard,
that is the issue.
That is the hardest thing, is people, because the thing about a relationship is you got to put your ego aside for it to succeed. Because at the end of the day, you're going through something completely different than I'm going through. And we're thinking about it in two different, no one's ever going to think the 100% same unless you talk about it and mold it towards that. That's where me and Kieran for a little bit were struggling at, because when we first started dating, I was serving, she was just in school. Like, we didn't really have much going on for us outside of what we were waking up and required to do every day. Then, you know, I took a step away from school and started working full time, and it opened up my eyes to a whole new world. And as that was going on, she had got her promotion, so now she's working a lot more, but also seeing where she can take her photography. And now she's doing pictures for other people and trying to actively start up that business. And so the time we were spending, where we would spend all day together, you know, is now severely dwindling. And it's now I'm getting home from work and I'm still working at home. And so that stress comes into home now. So now I'm trying to learn how to deal with that while also keeping a strong relationship and being able to make sure that, you know, I'm loving her the way that she needs to be loved while she's doing the same for me. And so that was a huge thing that hill that we were going over, and we cleared it. But that was what got us through, is that communication and me having to be able to look at myself and say, okay, is this a just excuse? I mean, not excuse, but a just reason as far as my line and where I'm headed. Like, phrase, pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
Like, there's some times where, it's not always 100% what I would like, but I also understand that that's not something that really needs to be fought over, or because that's just my own personal thing, instead of, again, allowing her to come into my life as her without changing her, and saying, okay, this is how, I view things and this is how you view things, but how can we look at this with the same viewpoint instead of it being two conflicting things that we're trying to defend here?
Yeah, and I mean, I think in every aspect of your life, communication is crucial. Like, to an employer, like, upwardly managing and being like, hey, this is what I've done for the day. Like, this is the list that you gave me, and, like, look, I did this and a little more. Or, like, I told you Saturday's a deadline, but, like, I got it to you on Thursday. Like, it's, so communication in a professional setting, and then communication, to your partner, because we are in, like, one of the busiest times of our lives. Like, let's be honest. You're starting your podcast, Kieran's getting deeper into photography, like, that's busy.
Yeah.
Like, that is so busy, and it's just compromise and understanding with it. And I'm going to keep referring to him as boyfriend because I asked for his permission to talk about us on here today, and I was like, can I just refer to you as my boyfriend? Like, I don't want to out you or anything.
We ain't gonna name drop.
Yeah, no. I'm waiting for that hard launch,
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, and, like, he's great, and he's like, I appreciate you asking. Like, yeah, for sure, like, go for it, babe. And I was like, perfect.
Supportive.
So sweet. Yeah, but, I did want to respect that boundary with him and kind of communicate with him. He was so excited for this opportunity for me. He was excited and followed up about my consulting call. He's like, how was it? Like, what'd you end up going over? Like, the genuine interest in my life. And then he's in a sport that I know nothing about. And he knows he does shot put.
Oh, word? Okay. Yeah.
So, the only thing we have, like, I guess physical, like, activities in common is lifting.
Yeah.
Like, we both go to the gym. And that was one of, like, our first times we genuinely hung out together. It was like we went to the gym together. Now, I hate lifting with guys, especially, like, no hate.
Shot put is a big motherfucker, man.
Yes, he is. And he was over there, like, neutral grip rowing 260 pounds for reps, and I was like,
excuse me?
I can take this one off right now if you want to put something else there. Like, but it's finding that common ground, and I'm genuinely interested in his sport. I'm like asking him, like, there are different size shot put balls. They all weigh the same, but they're 3 different sizes. I didn't know that either.
Okay.
But, like, I'm learning from him.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely interested in his life and because I know he loves his sport. And he's genuinely interested in mine and knows that I love entrepreneurship. Like, I love watching businesses grow. I love consulting. Like, that's something I genuinely want to continue doing, after I have some more case studies behind me to show, like, hey, like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Something I would love. So it's just, again, that communication of going back to, I have 20% today. Or, like, hey, babe, like, I had a great day. I have 80% today to give. And he's like, I had a great day, too. Like, I have 75% to give. Like, it's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just that open communication about it. And then being able to, like, work in, what's the word? It starts with a C. Compromise. That word. Like, being able to compromise to fit each other's, like, schedules. Like, he hates building Legos with other people.
Okay.
Right? And he's very much like a build my own Legos type person, which I get. I like building my own Legos as well. And when he picked me up for our date, instead of getting, like, flowers, because my friend Cadence and I started building Lego flowers, he got me a Lego flower set, and he was like, I know you know that I don't like building these together, but, like, we're going to build this set together. So I want to get you Lego flowers instead of normal flowers. And I was like, like, it's that type of compromise. Like, I know that man does not like building Legos with other people. And, like, he wants to build Legos with me.
Yeah.
Because he knows that that's something that I value. And then he knows that, like, watching shot put, like, other people, not him. I love watching him do it.
Mm.
Other people do it. He knows that, like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm just like, oh, rock go far. Like, okay, like, cool.
Well, when you look at shot put.
And it's rock go far. It's 16-pound rock go far.
Yeah.
But he knows, like, I'm watching it and I'll look at it because that's something that he really enjoys. And same with like movies. Like we got this app where it's like Tinder for movies.
Okay.
And it ended up working out great. And we figured out we have like, a few movies to watch that we both enjoy.
I need to get that.
Oh my gosh, no, it's great.
Yeah, me and Kieran love watching movies.
Us too. Like it's nice. And then we also, he watched Saltburn with me.
Ooh. Okay.
And this man, in the morning, like we'll be on call and it'll be like, Alexa, play Murder on the Dance Floor. I'm like, I know
Murder
you
on
like
the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis
Alexa,
Bextor.
off. I didn't know you had one.
She's hiding back there.
But I'm like, I know you liked it.
Yeah.
But we can both recognize the art behind it. Like, he knows that I really love live music.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all just, and he doesn't love live music, and he's like, I'll go to spend time with you. And I'm like, see, I know you don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's telling me you don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's that compromise. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, I mean, that's huge. Like, that's huge being able to, I like how you explained what compromise looks like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when you hear a lot of things, oh, compromise this, compromise that.
It's not ignoring an element. It's coming together to, like,
create one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're putting aside, it's not like you're, you don't know what's going on in the shot put, but it's more of that interest, one, having that interest in just because that's what your partner likes doing.
Yeah.
And then two, being able to say, okay, well, while I don't know exactly what's going on,
nothing of what's going on,
I want this to be, something that we can share just because you like it. Legos.
Mm-hmm.
I know you like building things with people or you like doing your own, but this is something that I know we can build together.
Yeah.
Live music. I like music. I don't like live music, but I know you do. So maybe I can pull something from live music that I can enjoy. Even if it's just seeing you're happy at this event.
Exactly.
I can get a couple brews and start chilling with it too. And so I think that being able to really understand what compromise looks like, it's not closing off an aspect of yourself to really compromise for this person, but instead it's just opening yourself up to new experiences that you can have with that person.
And it's knowing that, like, you value that person enough to do something that you don't particularly love doing.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you do stuff with Kieran that, like, you do not love.
Oh.
But you do it. But you do it because you love Kieran, and Kieran does the same for you.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, I feel like people are starting to think compromise is like giving up something because their partner doesn't like it.
Yeah.
When that's really not what it is. It's coming together. Okay, maybe you do it a little less. Like, I know I went to a candlelight string quartet concert in Australia. Went by myself, absolutely loved it. He has no interest in anything like that, but he's like, I'll go because I know how happy it makes you. It's like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously I'm not going to have us go to a string quartet concert once every 2 months, but, like, I know he'll go with me.
Exactly. That's the big thing is, like, even that's compromise on your end. Like, I'm sure if you could go 1 or 2 months every time, you would take that opportunity in a heartbeat.
Yes.
But, understanding that, hey, your partner will do this because he loves you, but not enforcing it onto him because he'd do it.
Exactly. It's mutual respect. I think is honestly the thing that it comes down to in every relationship. Parental, like, I respect my mom and she respects me as an individual. Professional, I respect my professors and they respect me because I respect them in their class. And I actually try in their class, and it's that mutual type of respect. Friendship, they respect me, I respect them, like, we respect that each other has feelings and that we're both busy, but, like, we make time for each other. We recognize we both, like, mess up, but we respect and love each other so much that you work through it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the perspective you've been able to put on this conversation, especially somebody your age really just getting into this, university life and how it is. You're very much still focused and you have your, as far as the aspects of what I can tell from business to friendships to self-health and into your relationships. It's screwed on. Of course, you're young. We're all young. We're all still going to be learning.
There's so much to learn.
But you have a strong foundation that goes into it. And so I appreciate your perspective and what you've been able to share with everybody.
I love the way we've been able to just, conversate. It feels like so weird. It doesn't even feel like we're, on a podcast. It feels like I'm just talking to, like, one of my good sick friends. Like, It feels like we're just kicking it back and, like, Italian. We're like, hey, like, how's it going? Like,
that's what I try to do. I used to be upset because I was like, man, like, I don't have a set. We're just in my room talking. Like it doesn't feel professional, but I mean, I kind of think that that just sets it up for even better conversation
Yes,
because
I
there's no
totally
type.
agree.
Only light we got on us is the ring light. Like nothing
That's
else.
great.
We got my flag in the background, but yeah, no.
Jesikka Calder till I die.
Hey, love to hear the sponsorship. Let's go. So, all right, just to kind of get things all wrapped
Yeah.
up. What is a piece of advice that maybe you've heard it, maybe you've given it, something that you really want people to be able to take away from this video, and it can be multiple pieces, it can just be one,
Yeah.
but
I think I'll run back to one of the pieces I said, and then one of the other pieces we didn't really get to touch on as much. The one that we said, you are who you surround yourself with. So I really think it's, do you see yourself and the people you surround yourself with, and do you want to be like that?
mhm,
Like, would you be proud for your kid to call that person their aunt or uncle? Like in that type of close knit, like family friend kind of way. Because you become the sixth person. If you surround yourself by 5 ambitious, curious, like love learning type people, you're gonna be the sixth one. But if you surround yourself with 5 people who just, lounge around, like play PS5 the whole time, don't care about classes, don't care about learning, you're gonna be the sixth one.
yeah,
So I think it's really just same in your relationship. That values into who you surround yourself with, because you're with that person for a lot of time. You
yeah,
generally are, and then just say yes. Like honestly, say yes to these opportunities. Like I just swiped up on your shirt. I was like, heck yeah! Like oh come on! Like this is
yeah.
my POV that I can provide. And I mean, recently I had an opportunity that I was so sad that I said no to because I was just being dumb.
What was it?
I was asked to go model for this drop for a clothing company, and it was on it was in the first week of school, and it was on a Thursday, so I didn't even have class.
Hmm.
And I think I just wanted that day to be myself, unpack. Guess what I did not do? Unpack. But I ended up saying no to this opportunity, and then 2 of my good friends from the gym were also asked this opportunity, and they went, and I was like, well, that looks like so much fun. Like, why did I say no to that? I would get photos, I would get usability rights, more visibility. Like, why did I say no to that?
Yeah, is that what started the whole saying
Yes.
yes to every opportunity?
Yes, and I mean it came from, that was the most recent one, like fitness wise, and then I mean there's obviously a bunch of whole business wise. Like just say yes because there are conventions, like networking events that UNT, the business school, puts on, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll throw on my heels and my business casual dress, I'll go, because even if you just get one piece of really good information out of a 2-hour seminar, you still got that one piece of really good information.
yeah.
So I think it's just, you are who you surround yourself with in being a yes mindset.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, y'all heard it. Thank you, Jessica, again for your point of
Thank you
view
so
and
much
your
for having
perspective
me.
on this. I think it's been an awesome conversation. I wish I was
Totally agree.
recording on here, but it should be fine with the camera.
Okay, perfect.
We just keep learning. We keep living and we learn and we move on and
That's how you grow.
make some better things happen. But yeah, and well, the way I like to close these things out is I ask a pretty controversial question. Keep it away from politics, but just something
Yeah.
to kind of dive deeper into, who you are as a person. So let me see what I
I'm
got.
very good at keeping it away from politics.
Let
in the
me-
South, especially in Denton.
Oof, yeah, I know it.
Gee.
If you could say it's your last meal,
Okay.
what would your last meal be?
My last meal.
Yes.
Do I get an appetizer, main meal, and dessert?
Let's go that route.
Okay, I want escargot as my
Okay.
appetizer.
Snails?
But yeah,
Never
snails.
had snails.
They're good.
Are they chewy?
A little bit, but I like them. Escargot, but I want that with the butter and cheese, and I want bread on the side.
Okay.
My main meal, I want a huge ribeye with a really good crust on it.
Oh.
You want that good crust.
Yeah.
Cooked medium. I don't want it still mooing, but I don't want
Medium is.
Yeah, I enjoy medium. With a side of mashed potatoes and green beans.
Okay.
I think that sounds really good. Then dessert, I have to take it back to the Aussie classic. I want a pavlova.
What is it? What?
A pavlova. It's a meringue.
Okay.
Cake type thing. It's a harder meringue shell on the outside, and it's really soft and airy on the inside.
Crack it kind of.
Yeah, you normally would cut it into a slice, and then you put passion fruit and strawberries on the top of it.
That sounds so good.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
That would be my final meal. What would yours be?
Let's see. Appetizer. I'm going to go steak tartare. I had it once in Vegas, and oh my god, it was like I only tried it because I seen it on social media so much, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta try it one day, and it just absolutely like blew my mind away. If I had to go dinner, I would 100% agree with yours that just a nice ribeye, nice fat cap, just absolutely being
Sounds
good
so
crust. Like I need like cast iron sear, like scrape it and you can like feel it. Huge on. I love the potatoes, but I think I'd go the route of I don't know. I really like roasted. I really like roasted. Like there's this place.
Are you gonna have two starches? Are you having roasted potatoes and mashed potatoes?
No. I was just saying the potatoes.
Okay.
So the Picone, it's right on Elm Street.
Okay.
Really, they just won best restaurant for Italian. I go there all the time. They have these potatoes. Those potatoes.
Okay.
It's oh my god. You bite into it and it's just crisp and then it's soft and they season it well. That with I'd say like burnt carrots, broccolini, like a nice burnt carrots like charred. Like like you grill them. I don't know how it goes into it, but not like cold. But it's just like they got a nice char on them. They got like a nice like glaze on them. It's super good. You can try and make Picone.
Okay, super good. Sounds like I'm going to Picone.
And then for dessert, I'm not huge on desserts, but if I had to go dessert,
like an espresso or something. You know, like the Italians end it with an espresso.
Yeah. Let's go that route. I'd go with an espresso. Maybe like a nice like chocolate cake on the side. A little bit of that sweet factor. But yeah, I think that's the route I would go for a last.
Valid.
And 100% my mom's pesto ravioli. It's
that sounds so good.
4 cheese ravioli pesto with prosciutto and
every time I hear
chicken.
Pesto, have you ever seen that TikTok that was like, call me crazy, but I don't like store-bought pesto? Did you ever see that TikTok?
Wait, what does it say?
It was like, call me crazy, but I don't like store-bought pesto.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like, these people would stitch it saying like some crazy stuff like, call me crazy for like hitting someone with a car or like going over a curb. But don't worry, there's a girl that doesn't like store-bought pesto. Like it would.
I think I know the girl, like that OnlyPans girl. Is that who it is?
I've got no idea. I've only seen the remixes of it.
So it's this chick who she'll go on and just create like extravagant meals, but like she has like those sexual innuendos behind it because OnlyPans.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So
I didn't get it.
It's super funny, but she makes some really good stuff. I think that might be her, but
maybe.
I'm not too sure. I have to see it, but yeah. Pesto is definitely the way to go.
Pesto sounds so good.
Thank y'all for checking in. This episode of Push the Needle. Hopefully y'all can hear it well, and if not, I promise to come back even stronger next week. Thank you again, Jessica, for being this guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll see y'all. Like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next week, all right?